don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 400th episode. Yay! 400th episode of the Political Spotlight. Cannot believe it. This is now the longest running podcast I have ever had by 200 episodes. So, We've beaten Perception is Reality by 200 episodes, and that blows my mind. I was going to say, and the reason being is Perception is Reality was like once a week. It started out for the first year, it was 2 times a week, and then after the first year, it went to once a week. But I still did nightly episodes of live stuff, so it's kind of strange how it went. But we are now to the 400th episode. So, surprise, surprise. And in perfect Bilbrey fashion, we've got nothing, no kind of surprise, nothing special. Matter of fact, I thought, man, can I make this episode like 15 minutes long and then just be done? I have a headache setting in behind the eyes. I've just been kind of blah today. My nephew and niece, who are in Italy with my brother and sister-in-law, they called this morning at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And that was like after I went to bed at like 2:30. So like it's been a long day. And of course it was the day before, it was a long day. So it's been a long couple of days. But we are making it through. The weekend is almost here. The weekend is almost here. And the weekend, of course, is going to be a long day too. So I'm not actually going to have like rest until a week from this Friday. So whatever, it is what it is. It's good to be here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We've shared it. Please, if you're tuning in and you're watching this live, we're coming to you live on Wednesday, February 26th, 2025 at 9:07 p.m. And we're expecting good things. Hey, this is a good things right here. You're getting good things right here. It's just, it is what it is. So, we have a lot of things to discuss tonight. I was going to call this episode just 400th, but then I thought, now we need to call it a bit from everywhere, because we have a couple of things that we need to discuss from all over. And so we're going to do that. If you would, please help thumb us, give us the thumb us. That's what I'm going to start calling it. Hashtag thumb us. Just spell it one word. THUMBUS. Thumb us. So give us a thumb, hit the like, subscribe if you haven't. Share the show with everyone you know. Spread the word, blah, 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 blah. If you're here live, comment over here. If you're here in the future via replay, repeat, watch, and comment down below. You know what to do. Okay, let's start the show. All right, so first up, ladies and gentlemen, I want to decide what I want to talk about first and foremost. So we're going to be covering some different things from the city of Muncie. We're going to be talking about some Delaware County stuff. We're going to be talking a little bit of Henry County and a little bit of some Knightstown and Middletown stuff. Kind of weird. There's a little bit of a crossover there. We'll talk to you a little bit about that. I've got to talk to you a little bit about the deal with John Brook and Ed Carroll and all of that. And then we'll see what happens. Jesus, you complaining about being tired reminded me of James King. I only get paid cents on the dollar to be here. And if I'm going to listen to your bullshit bitching and whining, I'm sick of this transparency stuff. And I'm tired. There you go. That combines James King, Shannon Henry, all other elected officials, and myself. Wait, stop. Hold on. What are you talking about there, Alva? What you talking about there, Alva? Yeah, hey, listen, surprisingly, I will have absolutely nothing to say about Madison County tonight. Like, people were going to kill us last night. I got so much hate mail after last night's show. The people from Madison County loved it. And then listen to this. No, wait, listen. Then somebody said, oh no, it wasn't somebody. Catherine said, are you going to have Cheryl McKinney on tonight? Or on Wednesday night? And I was like, no, why would I have Cheryl McKinney on? She's like, to talk about Evan Broderick. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. She was like, well, you told her you were going to. And I was like, what do you mean? I told her, when do I talk to Cheryl? And then it completely came to my mind. And I did. She was right. I did talk to Cheryl McKinney. And I did tell Cheryl that we would talk about it Wednesday. However, Cheryl graciously said that she could come on Saturday. So we'll do the big announcement. We'll have Cheryl come on. I might see if Cheryl can come on Sunday so we can give Saturday everything to the chairs. So we'll see what happens. And so, no, just kidding, everybody. I will cover the Democrat sweep of Madison County, but the one aside is it's going to be the last thing I cover. I do have to talk about it because it's pretty comical. So first up, okay, Alva's ready, so we can go ahead. All right, to not keep anybody waiting here in Delaware County. First and foremost, I want folks to be aware of what's happened, because this is something that I talked about, but I haven't said anything about this in a moment. So everyone knows that I have been fighting John Brook for this check. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Awesome. Very good, very good. So I've been fighting John Brook for this check. Now remember, I'll show you. It's a normal thing to contact a governmental entity, a municipality, county, city, whatever, and to request a copy of a check that they have issued that's been cashed. Okay? So for those of you that were here when I covered the deal about Luke Britt and the public access counselor and the fact that he stepped down, and we covered a couple days before that, like how you applied for or how you requested public information and da-da-da-da-da. One of the things that I did not talk to you all about was when requesting information. That's the problem. And it's partially my fault because I say requesting information because that's what I look at it. It's not requesting information. It's requesting documents, public record. And on those records, on those documents is information. What you cannot request is you can request it, but you're not going to get it 90% of the time. You cannot request something that doesn't exist. And that sounds like pretty easy, cut and dry. Like, I don't ever request anything that doesn't exist. What would be the point of that? What I mean by that is if there's information out there that's been discussed or that you know or that we know or whatever, city related, county related, state related, federal related, whatever, and you request that information, but that information, hello there, Mr. Ron Crouch. Welcome, welcome. If you request information that does not exist in a document, okay? So, for example, I don't even know really a for example. If you request something that's just spoken and you say, hey, I want this information, and that information is not on a hard copy, it's not on a video, it's not on an email, it's not in a policy book, it's not a document, you can request it and they'll deny it because they do not have to create a document or a form to fulfill your request. So, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Keep that in mind. No, it doesn't overwhelm me. It just overwhelms the audience like nightly. But no, hi, Madison County's sleepy. Dude, one of these days you're going to have to go back to like 2015, 2016, 2017, Muncie and Delaware County. You've got no idea. You've got no idea. I promise you. I wish I could take you back in time for even a day into the past. The wild west of the old Star Press online forums, that kind of crazy stuff. So here is a copy of a check. Here's what the city created. It's got the controller's signature. Here's the back of it. Here's where the person they made it out to endorsed it. This is requestable. Requestable. So when I requested that check of the auditor's office of John Brook to get from the auditor's office, I know that this is something that exists. It's something that is out there. I've received it before. I've received checks from the county before. So after my back and forth with John Brook, back and forth, I finally received an email from his secretary on Friday or Monday. And the letter said, see attached for correspondence from attorney John Brook. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what I received. Brooke Struble, February 25th, 2025, Christopher H. Bilbrey, email only, public record request. Dear Mr. Bilbrey, you requested information as follows. Request 1, copy of the check paid by the Delaware County Auditor's Office to Brooke and Struble after the Delaware County Redevelopment Commission voted to pay the claim during their meeting November 14th, 2024. Response: there are no records responsive to your request. The auditor's office does not receive copies of canceled checks for its transaction. This satisfies your request. Thank you. So I immediately emailed back to Mr. Brook. No, it does not. Thank you. So then I was sitting here and I was thinking, like, look, John Brook is not going to defeat me. So, like, what am I going to do? And it sucked because this was like 2 days ago. So I was like, yesterday, whenever this happened, 2 days ago, whenever this was, I was like, my secret tool, not secret tool, my tool in the toolbox that I would normally use for this exact type of incident is gone. And that's Luke Britt. So I got to thinking, what can I do? What can I do? So I called a source of mine, and that source did some checking. And I then became aware that there is another office that I've requested the right information, but I've requested it for the wrong office. So tomorrow, Thursday, I'm not even going to mess with an email. I'm not going to mess with a phone call. I'm going to walk my happy little butt into the Delaware County Treasurer's Office, because the Delaware County Treasurer's Office can access, and I've been told this via reliable source, can access the copies of these checks, front and back, via their connection with First Merchants Bank. So tomorrow I will be walking in to see Mr. Bradley Polk, Delaware County Treasurer, who I like Brad Polk. Like, he kind of gets on my nerves a little bit. I mean, he's just a kind of a doofus elected official. He always tries to act all hard, all big and bad. Most of you probably don't even know who I'm talking about. Yeah, I'll video it. Absolutely. Yeah, I can video this. I think he that will add a new layer of interest from my perspective and your perspective and our perspective. and like anxiety inducing craziness for their perspective for whatever reason, because as we know, people are afraid of video cameras. So I think that's a pretty good, I think that's a pretty good thought there. So Brad Polk used to be the permanent Muncie City Councilor for District 4. He served in Sarah Gullion's district, and they thought that district was lifelong, forever Republican. And then Isaac Miller took the seat when Polk left the city council seat to become the treasurer, when he left city government to go to county government. They put Isaac Miller in his seat. Then Miller was supposed to run for re-election, but Miller screwed up his candidate paperwork, so they kicked him out of the seat. And then Brad Marshall was going to run. It was just a whole big disaster. Sarah ended up winning. But Polk, ladies and gentlemen, Polk is somebody who, he's like the principal. He's like the principal in Teen Wolf. You know, he's kind of a bigger guy, and he kind of acts all big and bad and puffy. But basically what happens is, it's like when the dad goes up to the principal and looks at him and kind of pushes him against the lockers at the very end of the movie. And the dad's eyes glow like Teen Wolf's glow, like Michael J. Fox. His eyes glow, and he does that growl, and the principal pisses himself. That's what dealing with Bradley Polk is like. So, I'll record it. I don't know. I mean, I've got no ill will towards Mr. Polk. We're good. This is Polk. I like his brothers much better than I like Brad. Bill Polk and Brad Polk, Bill Polk. What's the other Polk? Brad, Bill. I don't know what the other one's name is. Anyways, Greg was a Muncie police officer. Bill was a sheriff's deputy, and Brad is a such and such. He'll be sure to throw me out. No. He will piss himself up against the lockers, as in the principal in Teen Wolf. But I also know some people in his office that are pretty cool. They're pretty helpful. So we should have this tomorrow. If they don't have it tomorrow, they will at least be on the way to getting it. So that's how we'll go through this, and we'll know once and for all. And I'm still telling you, like, I cannot believe how crazy Brooke and Ed are in fighting for this. I mean, I'm telling you, something is wrong here. Still something is wrong here. And it's only $100, but it's the issue. I would be this concerned if it was $5. It's the act, not what it actually is. So we will be finding out what happens here. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed on that. Okay, now, Tweety Bird asked me if I watched the Muncie City Ethics Commission meeting. Tonight was the second meeting of the Ethics Commission. And I shared this for a lot of people to watch. If anyone was interested in watching this, I shared it. I put it out there. You can find it on the city's YouTube page. You can find it on the City of Muncie's couple different pages. And going back to Stumblefoot's question about the communication on the Facebook page and whatnot, yeah, that's a disaster. I still have people asking me. When are the City of Muncie officials going to put back comments on the official page? And I'm like, the thing is, I'll be honest, Amber wants to do it. It's no secret. Like, she talks to Dan about it. Other employees in the City of Muncie talk about it, but Dan is just, for whatever reason, he is against it. I mean, not for whatever reason. We know why he's against it. It makes him look bad. And so his bad actions, his lack of transparency is an issue. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. When they talk about you behind your back, you have a right to know. You just have a right to know about what they're doing, in general. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard, and they shouldn't get that bent. They don't need to respond. That's the problem with Ridenhour, right? I'll be honest, part of the reason he ended the comments was not just to stop the negative comments, but I think that was the only way he was able to stop Shireen from getting on and responding the same time that Michelle was, when Michelle was communications director, or Amber, as she, you had one communications director, but yet you had 3 or 4 people responding. And Lindsay Corey Bory Fink, she works up at City Hall about every other 6 weeks. She works for a week, then she's off for a year, then she works for a week, and you've got all these people rushing to Dan's aid, making the situation look worse. And so I think Dan just said enough, which is not right. It's not right. Yeah, Amber needs to post up that says, if you want comments on the official page, do the heart. And if you don't, do like the cry face. And see, we could do an unofficial vote that way. That would be interesting. That would be very interesting to see what would happen. So, as Tweety Bird was asking if I watched this ethics commission ordeal, and I did watch a little bit of it. Let me see what's going on here. Wait a minute here. What's on with Facebook all of a sudden? Give me a second here. Everything looks fine there. Try to do this. Give me a second here. Okay. While I'm working on this, we'll come back to the ethics committee, because I'm trying to get it pulled up. But while we're working on this, let me go ahead and pull up the City of Muncie Board of Works. So the Board of Works meeting was today. It's Wednesday. And of course, I only had one real concern today, and that was, what were they going to pay Dustin Clark? Would Dustin Clark be receiving another $5, $6, $8, $9, $10,000 check from the city of Muncie for his work in the last week? And so that's what I was watching for. That's what I was listening for. So let me pull this up. Let me give the Ethics Commission here a moment to get reboot here, and we'll do that. And while I'm trying to pull up this Board of Works meeting, looks like Ron Crouch said, let's give a big shout out to Joe Boyce. That's Joe Ratchford Boyce. I'm really excited about her interest in being a part of the Delaware County Republican leadership. She is the real deal. And yeah, let me tell you, I like Joe Boyce. From everything I've ever heard about Joe Boyce, from all the very small interactions I've ever had with her, I think she's fantastic. What I think is interesting is it's interesting how her and Jessica Piper are at odds with each other. They don't like one another. That's no secret. I mean, it's simply not a secret that they don't like one another. I'm in Joe Boyce's corner. I don't like Jessica Piper either. I hope that Jessica Piper is not. I mean, Jessica Piper should not be the co-chair. I think it's a disaster putting her in. That's like saying, okay, everything's completely good. Mr. Doe, we've checked you all over. Everything is fine. We're just going to leave this kidney cancer in you. Shouldn't hurt a thing. You're fine from head to toe. Everything is good, but we're just going to, it's like, no, please take that kidney cancer out of me. Don't let it set in here and metastasize. And that's my fear with Jessica. My fear is with Jessica as the number 2, she will slowly cause issue with Tim. She will slowly cause issue with Joe. She will slowly cause issue with Aubrey, and it'll just be more of the same. I am not looking forward to that, but hopefully Joe can hold her. I know Joe can hold her own. I'm not worried about that. I know that Joe can hold her own. I hope number 1, something magical happens and Piper is not the nominee, or it does not win, which anything is possible. Keep that in mind. But we'll have to see. So, okay. Without further ado, here is the Muncie Board of Works from today. Only another 8-minute meeting. Baker.
Present. Do we have a motion to approve the February 19th minutes?
I move approval of the minutes from last week as presented.
All right, I will second. Any comments or questions about the minutes? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, thank you so much. Greg, register of claims, please.
Good morning. I sent out the claims yesterday afternoon, and just a note that we also had a second run last week of utilities, which included Kinder Morgan, Indiana Michigan Power, Indiana American Water, and Comcast. A couple things to note. I was asked a few minutes ago, sitting there on page 9, there is a claim for $16,000 for police windshields. And those are 16 windshields that they had installed on the vehicles. The safety, sure they're probably bulletproof, et cetera. So with that, I'll open up to any questions you might have.
I don't have any today.
I don't have any today either. Do we have a motion to approve the claims?
Move approval of the claims for $690,122.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. Grace.
Thank you.
We have no unfinished business, so we will move into new business. And up first, we have a street closure application for the Woodlands anniversary event, which is May 15th.
Yes.
And it's not going to rain that day. They already said so.
Good. It's actually our 78th anniversary.
Ah, amazing. You'll just state your name and information.
My name is Connie Kiger. I'm the Director of Business Development.
And I'm Kevin Spa, the Executive Director of the Woodlands.
Thank you so much. And can you tell us a little bit more about the anniversary event?
We had the same event last year, so it'll be a very similar event. We have live music, food vendors, and community vendors setting up booths.
Great.
Was well attended. We estimated 300 plus people walked through that day.
And this is to benefit the Woodlands.
It's really a community event. There's no benefit. The exposure is the only, there's no financial benefit to it. The neighborhood is involved. They're already aware of the event and totally supportive.
And you already have Muncie Police Chief and Fire Chief's approval. Thank you. And this is closing West Jackson to from West Jackson, East Facility Drive to West Facility Drive.
Right, just directly there from the point to the other end of the property.
Lindsay, do you have any?
No, I have no questions, but I did want to remind you, the $20 fee has not yet been paid,
Yes.
so that needs to be paid.
And I pay that out on Kilgore where I paid it last time. Yep. We'll take care of that today.
Thank you.
Do we have an approval?
Yes.
Or a motion, I guess
Yeah.
I should say.
I move approval of the application pending the payment of the fee.
Okay, I will second. Any comments, questions from anyone? All right, great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good luck with your event. Next, we have Public Works Department approved purchase and lease agreement.
Yep. Good morning. So it should have been in your packet. The entirety of the lease agreement is pretty straightforward from McAllister Equipment. That is the cat dealer. We're been fairly successful in our in-house paving operations. So the small machine that we bought is becoming slightly inadequate to our 30 and 36 foot wide roadways where we're doing some boulevard type work. So this is a significantly bigger machine. We don't necessarily have the money to pay cash for it right now, so we looked at a lease option. We're going to probably do the 48-month lease at $106,000 per year. There was a substantial discount from Caterpillar on the machine. I believe our total is going to be something on the order of $448,000 plus some interest. Without the discount from McAllister and buying through Sourcewell, it would have been $578,000. So
I don't know.
it's just kind
I
of
don't know why that
necessary upgrade as we've
I don't know
kind of
why.
matured in our in-house paving operation. And since this is a lease, it has to go through.
So when the city of Muncie used to have any of the type of meetings live streamed, they've got the PTZ cameras. They zoom in, they tilt back, they go up and down, and they used to go back and forth between all of the counselors or board members or commissioners that were speaking, and from one side to the other. They would pin out to the audience. They would show who's speaking at the podium. Delaware County used to do the same thing. Now, granted, the same guy does all of these videos because now Delaware County, it's like it only shows the president and like the attorney and Matt Kantz just constantly. And then sometimes like William Hughes, who's in the video on the left-hand screen, he'll start speaking, and halfway through his speech, the camera will pan his way and it will get to him and get set just as he's done. And then it'll lock on him for a while the people in the middle are speaking. And then the camera will pan back that way just as in time for them to end and someone in the audience starts. It's just crazy. Well, now the same crap's starting to happen at city. And it's like, what is going on? Why have all of the equipment that you have if you're not going to use it properly? What is going? And we pay this guy a large chunk of money for this. Okay, just FYI.
What works. Thus, here I am asking you if you have any questions or anything I can clarify for
Anything
you.
is important.
We're trying to get good at it.
Does this replace the existing machine?
It will likely replace it. The trade-in value that we got from CAT was appallingly low, I guess is the nicest way to say it. But it's also a different brand. So, you take your Ford to the Chevrolet dealer, they might have different feelings about it. It's kind of the same thing with heavy equipment. We're shopping it around a little bit. If not, we will either keep it as a reserve, which is fine, or we'll just put it in auction and try to recoup what we got in it.
I move approval of the lease agreement.
And I will second that. Any comments, questions? Jerry?
Jerry Weiss, is there a lease option to purchase
Yes, we'll own it
at the end of the 400?
Yep.
Thank you. All right. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Adam. And then last of the new business is the Office of Community Development for an amendment to a Better Ways Landlord Liaison Home ARP contract.
Nikita Adams, Office of Community Development. This contract went into effect in January of 2024 with a term of 1 year to be renewed 4 different times over the next 5 years. We have in this amendment upped the amount that he will be making this year. He really showed a strong connection with the community that he's serving, and he just connects homeless with landlords to create places for people to live. So
Great.
I move approval of the amendment to the landlord agreement contract.
I will second that. Any questions, comments? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
And that's it.
That is the end of new business, unless there's any other new business to come before the board. All right. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Nothing happened. And I will let you know, I did go through the claims, and amazingly, Dustin was not in there this week. But so, we scathed by this go around. Thank God. Okay. And that takes me to where we're going next, which was kind of to clean up a little bit of what was said last night. For those of you that tuned in at the beginning and maybe didn't watch all the way through, Ryan Webb came on towards the end and talked about what was going on in Delaware County government. They're fighting, putting a resolution out to fight Braun's plan, the Senate Bill 1, the property tax plan, kind of crazy deal. Go through and watch that if you didn't get a chance. It's the last probably 30 minutes of last night's episode. Definitely worth a watch. But I will tell you, Ryan brought up a couple things in there, which was the lit tax. Right now, we're sending out an email about the lit tax. And then that led to a couple other conversations after the show and throughout today where we were talking about edit and all of that stuff. And there's back and forth on what edit pays for and what it doesn't pay for and yada, yada, yada. Okay. It's just crazy stuff. So thank God no edit money went to Dustin Clark, Hoosier Municipal Operations, Michelle Owen, nothing like that. So we were clean this week. Thank God. When we're listening to, look out for Dustin's double claim next week. Absolutely. All that stuff is very possible. But when we're talking about state government telling the local governments to be more fiscally responsible, they're talking to people like Dan Ridenour, who is just out here willy-nilly doing all kinds of crazy shit with his edit money. Well, that doesn't mean the county necessarily is. They used to, specifically under King. But it doesn't mean the county is or isn't. It just means everybody has to be responsible for their own actions. Okay, well, that brings me to this email that Ryan brought up last night. I actually got my hands on it. I want to show you this email. This email is from Dan Ridenour to all of the council members, but he addressed Nora because Nora had sent the original email. Now, I do not have Nora's original email, but I want to get it, and I'm working on get it, and I have an official request into the city, but I got this through a source. All right, so let's read this together. This is Dan speaking to the council and to Nora, as a whole. The cost we shared is for 1 year. These amounts are not just the salaries, but include other costs as well. We didn't prepare any 2026 numbers. The police agreement only includes the second year if there is a lit increase. Lit is that tax that Ryan was talking about. If lit is not approved, this agreement only covers 1 year for salaries. The city had a $1.3 million increase to property tax revenues from 23 to 24 due to new developments becoming taxable. We expect a smaller increase for 2026, for sure, but have the 3% increase for fire in 2026 covered if lit is not approved. If lit is approved, both police and fire will have the funding to move forward with the agreements. We will not be using opioid unrestricted funds in 2026. Best regards, Dan Reidenauer. So this was an email that he sent, and it sounds like, he's talking about a few things in there, but it sounds like he's really answering some questions to Nora. And so it will make more sense once we get that first email that he's responding to. It'll be interesting to see what all Nora is asking him. But of interest in here, and very what's of major interest, and people need to be following this in Muncie. You need to be following this if you're in Yorktown. You need to be following this if you're in Albany or Gaston or Eaton or Cowan, wherever. People need to be following this. If lit is not approved, so Dan, it sounds like in my mind, because what this means is when they did the negotiations for the police and fire, they basically put negotiations through based on the fact that lit would be approved. Is that what you get from reading that, Kate? Look at this again. We didn't prepare any 2026 numbers. The police agreements only include the second year if there is a lit increase. If lit is not approved, this agreement only covers 1 year for salaries. But listen, they didn't make a contract negotiation for 1 year. They made it for 2. And they made it for 2 basing on the fact that your elected officials are going to raise taxes for all of Delaware County, including the city of Muncie. And their hope is that they can do this in this off year, 2025, when there are no elections, so that by the time next year kicks around, people will, number one, have forgotten it. That's what they bank on. Number two, by the time 2027 rolls around, people will have forgotten it. By the time 2028 rolls around, people will have forgotten it. They won't care. And that's, number one, stupid. It's stupid of us because they know that's how they can do things. Elected officials have been doing this for years and years and years. Doing things either in the off year or in the off, because every election, every person only has one election every 4 years, unless you're a state representative. Then you have every 2 years. But for the counselors, as long as they do something with a year buffer in between, nobody's going to remember that. That's the stuff that we need to start remembering. That's the stuff that we know. That's how they do things. I mean, look at this is Dan's words. And this was screenshot and sent to me, so it's a little funky. I have requested the actual email, and I will get it. So for those of you that are like, wait a minute, you could have put this together. If you don't want to believe me, that's fine. These are Dan's words. I promise you. I will show you in the actual email when I get it. These are Dan's words. So he negotiated. a contract with two large entities in the city of Muncie, in my opinion, on bad faith. He negotiated this and put numbers forward based on the idea of lit being increased. We need to think about that. People really need to think about that. That's crazy to me that he would do that. But it's a gamble. I mean, they politicians do that all the time, and it'll either pay off or it won't pay off, and we'll have to see then. I think it's wild that they would do that. Personally. That's just my own opinion. All right. Moving on.
All right.
We'll take a look here at the Muncie City Ethics Commission. This is the second meeting of the Ethics Commission. The first was not last Wednesday, but the Wednesday before. They are going to meet. Their meetings are going to take place in the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month. So second Wednesday of the month and the fourth Wednesday of the month. However, their meetings are primarily going to be on the first Wednesday of the month. And then if they don't have any other follow-up business, they just won't meet that fourth Wednesday. But if they do, they can have it there and they can have it open. So I want to go through and listen to just some bits and pieces of this meeting. This meeting was an hour and 48 minutes long. Let's listen to what happens here.
Tonight we've got, I guess, sort of three documents, parts of our process, the rules and procedures to approve. I think what we need to do to kind of keep with Robert's Rules of Order is have a motion and a second on each of these to introduce them. Then we can discuss them. If we need to make any amendments, we can handle that through an amendment process. And then when we take our vote to adopt them, we'll
David,
roll call so we can document that we had.
David Hall, I just saw your message about Newcastle. I don't know if you're on social media or not. If you're on Facebook, send me a message on Facebook about what you're needing or what you're talking about. Send me a message, or maybe send me your cell phone number, and I could call you and we could talk. Like I'd be interested in what you're talking about. I'd like to know a little bit more about what you're discussing. I'd be interested in finding that out.
First order is the adoption of general rules and procedures.
You can find my stuff on the bottom there,
to adopt those.
David.
I will make a motion to adopt the general rules and procedures.
Okay, a second.
Second.
All right. I'll open with a little bit of discussion about what we did here. Not a lot of changes to this from the first draft you looked at are limited. I fixed some, corrected some typos, and then the substantive part
okay.
is
well,
section 3.
Let me pause this.
The public comment
then
policy,
do me a favor. Then do me a favor. You see my phone number there. It says studio line 765-546-9796. Then text me your phone number and I can call you tomorrow and we can chit chat. Text me. If you got your phone now, if you want to talk, if you don't want to talk, if you'd rather not, I understand. But if you'd be interested in talking, I'd be okay with talking to you. You can text me your number, and I would talk to you. Okay. On Telegram, please say that again. 765-546-9796. It's there in the comments.
Got in there, I think reflects what we discussed at the last meeting. Any questions or comments on that part? No. Nope. Okay. We're ready to take the question. Okay, we've got a motion and a second for adoption. Don't hear any other discussion, so call the roll.
Oh, I call the roll. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're secretary.
Yeah, got it. Chip Taylor?
Yes.
Susan Dillon,
Yes.
W.C. Edwards,
Yes.
Sandra Whitaker,
Yes.
and I say yes.
Okay, one down. Okay, the second one is the complaint procedure. We have a motion and a second on adoption of that.
I will motion for the adoption of the complaint process.
A second?
Oh, right. Whitaker, okay.
Okay. So more changes here. I'll kind of go through.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I just saw this. Yeah, you can call me tomorrow. Yeah, call me tomorrow. That's what I'm live right now. You can't call me now. But yeah, call me tomorrow. That's fine. I just got this. Karen, are you still here? I just saw what Catherine had shared. You said somebody thinks that you're spreading spam or that you've been hacked when I share your posts on, or I'm assuming you're talking about on Facebook. I'll send you a message later and we can talk about that. All right, we'll continue on here.
Through them, and then what I've done here, if you have any questions, if you have any comments from city attorney, certainly welcome. Let me see, go down the list here. So, we'd had the part about receiving complaints. Last time it was kind of blank as to who, so I've updated all that to indicate that it is the city clerk's office that's accepting complaints for us. That's in what's now 2B. And then when Susan and I met and we're talking about this, she suggested this would go into, there need to be a process if people had complaints against the commissioner or any of its members. Well, we obviously, I don't think can handle complaints against ourselves. That would be problematic. So we've got in there, there's the city clerk's office accepts a complaint where the commissioner or the members is the respondent, then they forward it to the city attorney instead. And she can figure out what to do about us. Then also I clarified in 2D2, I clarified that if the city attorney determines that the complaint alleges a criminal act, it's the city attorney that'll forward the complaint to the appropriate law enforcement agency. I thought it'd be best to let the attorney handle that.
Okay, great.
Then in section 3, the notice and initial review, added a paragraph B about public records. And so it restates kind of the section of the code of ethics that basically just says, all our records are subject to the Indiana Access to Public Records Act and will be disclosed or withheld accordingly. And then put in a statement that prior to placing any document in the public record or disclosing it outside the commission, then the chair will consult with the city attorney to make sure that information is disclosed or withheld according to the law. I thought that was, you just gotta make sure everything's straight before it goes out.
Okay.
The next new section is 3C. It talks about complaints filed by employees. This was something that came up there. So Susan and I had a phone conversation with Luke Britt at the Public Access Counselor last week. And he told us that he asked us, if employees, would potentially be filing these complaints. And of course, that's a possibility. And he told us that I guess they're covered under like a whistleblower statute. And so they have the option to have their name and identifying information withheld from the copy of the complaint that goes to the respondent. Just remember, the community filed a complaint that he said he didn't know of any case law or statute that would affect that. So so that's in there. If the complaint's filed by the employees, then they would only get the respondent would only get the description of the violation, alleged violation. The next part is on the notice to the respondent. Also part of our discussion with Luke Britt, he said that, investigative information like list of potential witnesses or evidence can be withheld from the copy that goes to the respondent and from the public record more generally until you have a reason to put it in there. That was my understanding. And so that's, we've got that statement for the copy that goes to the respondent, and then clarified that the complaint will be sent to the respondent via means that provides confirmation.
Okay.
That sort of thing, but that was decided as we go. The section on undisputed complaints basically again says, if the complaint was undisputed, then we issue recommendations for corrective action, and we put a copy of the complaint with appropriate redaction in the public record. And of course, those recommendations would have to be approved by a majority vote of the commission.
This is just all common sense.
And then finally, the section on the public hearing. If we'd like to go forward with a public hearing, then clarified that we would have to identify which section or sections we're alleging have been violated.
Okay.
We voted and we said, well, there's preponderance of the evidence there was a violation. okay, we can make recommendations for corrective action. And so
Mm.
my office, or what if it's about
Any one of us,
administration and
yeah.
city attorney is
Right.
the administration's attorney, so those are.
I wish they wouldn't speak without a microphone in front of them.
What I was thinking of is when someone files something, they print it off or they come and ask us for a copy, we give them an envelope to put it in a file stamp the outside of the envelope. Or like, just a general, that way nobody in my office can read it.
It becomes sealed.
Right.
That's what I'm,
Yeah.
okay.
I mentioned the
And so
thing is
then-
sealed.
And then you'd let the chair know
Let you know
that we've got one.
That we received documents and
It just goes and goes. This is
Say, how the clerk's office forwards it to me, or, you know, I think that putting an envelope fits within the process we've got here.
putting it in an envelope.
And two.
The person filing the complaint, has the whole thing.
Okay, so the person filing the complaint would fill out page 3?
Yeah, so we're basically, you know, we're asking, were there any other witnesses to what happened?
I'm kind of flowing you to my question. I
Yeah.
apologize for doing that, but
Right.
it got a little confusing to me where it said complaint details and you'd fill all this out and add sheets if necessary.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
then
yeah, I
also
don't-
adding this. So it is required that they fill out page 3.
Only insubstantial and they don't deal with it, then they've always got to say, well, okay, there's no point in like spending any more time on this. We'll just back up and do the disclosure.
Certain school records, records that contain trade secrets, grade transcripts and license examination scores, patient medical records, anything with a social security number. As you go through, and this will come up in your complaints, as you go through some of these documents, let's say 3 years from now, someone wants and sends a public records request for a complaint that happened a year before. You would have to go back through your records. And depending on what is in that file and what is.
They are
listed,
basically
eliminating
setting up the
information
commission
that's
in this meeting and not doing any business. Yeah.
Should know
Yeah.
this, but I don't recall.
I
Is
mean,
there a
like-
statute of limitation on how far back you have to go for a public records request.
So the request has to be narrowly tailored.
Okay.
There's not an exact deadline for how far back you can go. Now, there's record retention schedules that are put out by the state, depending on what agency it is, and what governing body within the municipality, they have different requirements. If a municipality or a board or what have you wants to destroy records, let's say it's been 10 years, they would need to check with the state, review the retention schedule.
Yeah, they're not doing any business. They're just sitting up the meeting. This really won't be anything until they actually get in and start covering actual work.
Thank you.
Under chapter 41, so just how the ethics commission works, does everyone understand all of that? Everyone knows who they were appointed by or voted in, all of that? You understand your terms?
Yes.
Yep. All right. On the authority section, which is 41.04.
This will be interesting.
We've gone over most of these. I just wanted to highlight the compelling attendance and testimony of witnesses. So in that scenario, you can decide that you want to just send out a notice and ask them to appear or order them to appear. If they don't comply with that, then you can talk with our office and we can help you work on it. We would require them to come. Some people will come willingly, some will not. Some might need a subpoena so that they can give it to their boss. So just work with them on that when you have those public hearings. We've got it for enforcement, the transparency portal.
Yeah. But I think anything that's discussed in the meeting that has a piece of paper.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Alva.
That's my opinion.
Like,
Right.
I'm not looking for extra opportunities to talk about it.
People might approach you.
See what happens here.
About a while back, and somebody I kind of knew told me that, hey, something along I think I know what your first complaint's going to be, and I said, well, good, then you know stuff I don't know, and told I don't need to know that. There's no reason I need to know that. I said, if I knew that, I couldn't, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to say anything about it. I said, all I can say, I said, somebody's complaint's going to be the first one. I said, and whatever that complaint is, I said, we'll receive it and we'll, go through the procedure that's laid out in the ordinance and our rules, and we'll, consider the facts.
What's going to be the first complaint?
Speculating on like stuff that's going to come in front of us and inside. I think, especially like when we actually get up and start doing things. I mean, we're all out and about in the community, and people may want to engage in this, and it's like, I don't know, we'll deal with enough of it in here to like.
Right.
I'm not looking for extra opportunities to talk about it.
People might approach you and want to tell you and just try to.
Yeah, Tweety Bird. So the Ethics Commission, the idea for the Ethics Commission was brought up like a year and a half ago, and then last April, the idea to bring up an idea to work on the Ethics Commission actually went forward, and they impaneled that committee, and then that committee worked on the idea for an ordinance. Then they made the ordinance, and that ordinance was finally voted on in like November, and then in December and January it was seated, and then 2 weeks ago they had their first meeting to go over business of setting up the commission, and then this was the final meeting to go over the final business of setting up the commission, and this will be the City of Muncie's first ethics commission.
Pick your brain to see if they should file a complaint. You need to shut it down.
It's a-
If there's a process, follow
Yeah.
the process.
Well, and that's why we put in the public comment. We want to remind people, it's like, that's not the place to step up and say, you think you know who's taking a bribe or whatever. It's like, file a complaint. So we appreciate all your help with this. Is that what you got for us tonight?
And at your next meeting, we'll cover everything else, and I'll see if the personnel director can come as well, so that she can
Okay.
meet all of you and
Okay.
she can go over some of her things as well.
All right. I've got a couple things to mention as we wrap up. So I'll work with Belinda so that we have the complaint form and whatnot up so that people can file a complaint by the time that ordinance says. You may have noticed she's done some updates to the website already. We've got kind of a description of the commission, the list of the members and our official email addresses.
The
got a
insurance
little bit
is
about
crazy. I know
the
you're
ethics
about there.
advisory committee, since all those records are there too. Just mentioning that, and so there'll be in between that we'll put the people can get the complaint. Our next meeting is March 12th. My expectation is that like we've got some more procedures to do, but we should be able to cut back to meeting once a month unless we just get so much work that we have to meet twice. And so, my expectation is we'll be meeting once a month on the second Wednesday, unless things come up and require the additional meeting. Next month.
Good.
So we'll come back with, a hopefully final version of this advisory opinion process. I've started working on, mainly reading a bunch, but the next thing we need to get in place is the public hearing process. And I reached out to the Bloomington Human Rights Commission. They sent me theirs, and I sort of a lot to take in there, look through, but it seems like it is a better model, say, than the Police Merit Commission, which is what I was looking at first. So that's my next, get that, and I'll run that by you, make sure like there's no landmines in it or anything, and then so that, and we can do the rest of the training at the next meeting, and we'll get this done. Anything else?
What in the hell?
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Certainly. All right. So they do that. And that's basically the end of that. I do want to show you just in case anybody needs to know, or whatever. They do have a page on the City of Muncie's website. You go to the City of Muncie, and you can just go and search up Muncie Ethics Commission. Here's this. No, so that's the thing. So this is not to handle. This is not to handle problems or issues with employees and say their department head or vice versa. Like this is not to handle HR personnel issues, that'll still be handled as normal. This is specifically if there is a question of ethical issue. Like, is there a question going on about how Dan Ridenauer has entered into an agreement with Dustin Clark? The agreement, the contract seems way screwed up, and the amount of money that he appears to be making, there's just a lot of questions there. Does it matter that he was a city employee? You know, is there anything there? Like the ethical things, like maybe this would have been good for when they dealt with him the first time when Dustin Clark and the whole solar thing was going on. Like that's what this would be for. And again, as far as what Stumblefoot, what authority do they have? I mean, they have been set aside by ordinance to be able to have these meetings and do what. Now, they are not in charge of firing anybody. They don't fire anyone. All they do is they hear this and they send this on, and then they allow their attorneys to send it on. If there's anything criminal, the attorneys send on those situations to, law enforcement or the prosecutor's office. If there's anything that is done which would require, so basically, I'm gonna tell you, this is very similar to like Luke Britt. They offer their opinion, but there's very little teeth there. Yeah, that's right, Alva. You're correct. Yeah. You could be the first to test this system. I listen. I went the first time because I wanted to hear what the process for pushing through an issue. I have questions about what's going on with Dustin as being ethical and whatnot. And so, yeah, I'm very seriously looking into that. I'm waiting for Dustin to finish the record request that I've submitted, and it's just about time to start pushing back and asking, hey, what did you do? And yeah, as far as I know, it will be David, you heard it. I'm good. I'm glad somebody heard it out there. David Williams. From my perspective, it would be public. The only thing that wouldn't, I think it would be public. Yes, I think it would be. Yeah, I think so. And Frank, I want to go back and listen to it and just do it for the entire time now. That's what I want to do. I'm sad that I'm not hearing him do it. Yeah, that's what a lot of people were saying. Like, this is like basically a feel-good thing. Like, it sounds good, it feels good, but what's really going to happen at the end of the day? What are these people going to be able to do? What's going to come out of this? There's a lot of questions about that. At the end of the day, what seriously could this board do? What could happen? What's going to happen here? So yeah, good optics, absolutely. Yep. We'll test the waters and see. Let's see. I think they're done here.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I've got a couple things to mention as we wrap up. So I'll work with Belinda so that we have the complaint form and whatnot up so that people can file a complaint by the time that ordinance says. You may have noticed she's done some.
I'm going to start doing that. Are these paid positions? No, it's all volunteer. They're all volunteer. Chip Taylor, Susan Dillon, Jim Lowe, W.C. Edwards, which I kind of wish that was my name. I'm going to start going by W.C. Edwards. K.H. Bilbrey, Sandra Whitaker. They're all volunteer. So that's that. All right. moving on from that chaos, I now want to show you there's something kind of interesting that happened today. Okay. And that was this. Some people stood outside in a long line. What for? Was this for the new chicken place in Muncie? Because we don't have enough? Look, they're out there. It's like rainy. You can tell it's rainy, and they're still out there standing in line. Look how many people is that? I count 23 lines, or 23 people. 23 people, 23 heads is what I was going to say. I count 23 heads signing up for a Republican chair. Look at this. It's all for this lady right here. Somewhere out there. It's Fievel. It's Sue Arrington. Now look at this. Look at this. J.D. Prescott. Look at this. Scott Alexander. Look at this. Would you look at this? Look at this. Look at all of these people that turned out to listen to a legislator talk. Look what happens if you don't hold them at 9 o'clock in the morning in undisclosed locations, you tool bags. Now, I will say I am extremely disappointed that they did not manage a way to live stream this thing. Okay? A week. Kate asked how long she advertised in advance, and I want to say a week. She advertised a week in advance. And I want you to note, look at the crowd. I want everybody, I know right now it's kind of like the back of your head, backs of the heads, but I want everybody to note these are not like these are not your hardcore, like, go to everything, like, solely Democrats, solely Republicans. Like, there's a lot of Democrats in the audience, I'm willing to bet. A lot of Democrat fans of Sue. But these are just other regular people. These are just City of Muncie citizens. I don't recognize, I mean, there's a lot of people I don't recognize. Now, let's look at what this board says up here, okay? What this says. Let's compare state budgets. State House. It wasn't, they weren't all progressive liberals. No, I wouldn't say that. I would say they were there. Yeah. They were there. I mean, I saw Moth Danner and I saw I saw my fair share of progressive liberals, but I saw regular people too. You mean, I mean, like, you know what I mean? I saw people that I don't know, and then I saw some liberals, and I saw a couple of Republicans. All right, so let's look at this. Only a 1.3 increase for our public schools and no pay increase for teachers. A 2% increase for public schools and raising the minimum teacher starting salary to $60,000. Diverting $1.3 billion from public schools to pay for private school vouchers for wealthy families. Freezing the current income eligibility for school choice vouchers. No new tax cuts and no property tax relief. More money in Hoosiers' pockets with increased income tax credit. No new funding for veterans programs. Listen to that. That's the Republicans. No new funding for veterans programs. There's your proud military Republicans. Amazing. Supporting veterans with $1.6 million in new funding for veterans organizations. No expansion of pre-K child care, pre-K for nearly every 4 and 5-year-old, and ending the child care voucher wait list. $50 million cut to local public health programs. $150 million for local public health programs. No funding for trails or parks, which boost quality of life. Protect our public lands, improve quality of life, and boost tourism by funding trails and land preservations. No proposal for affordable housing in relief or for renters. Creating low-interest first-time home buyer program and increasing the renter's deduction. Gave more funding to Secretary of State's office, which awards no-bid contracts to campaign donors and family. I will go ahead and add. Capping Secretary of State's something, 23 levels, and a big head in the way. And then which would you big head in the way? Okay, so listen. And I don't care anything about any of that crap on the board, honestly. Yeah, I mean, you know where I'm at. You know who I am, what I do, and what I think, and what I believe, whatever. The point here.
Removing and appointing county office holders. So they somebody resigns in the middle of their term. This provides a way to appoint somebody else. Another bill that got out of committee that outlines the process for removing.
That's it. What do you mean? Let's see a list created by a Democrat. A list created by a Democrat. What are you talking about? That was created by a Democrat. What are you talking about? What list? That was created. That was a list brought by Sue Arrington. I just can't help but think if Scott Alexander, Elizabeth Roway, J.D. Prescott would commit to having something like this, if they would publicize it for a week. Wait a minute. We've had a conversion? Tweety Bird is not a fan of Fievel anymore? This blows my mind. Welcome, Tweety Bird. I did not know that. Yeah, okay. I wondered. I figured that was probably it. Hey, look, I get it. And look, there's probably things that she says that you do like, but she's real hardcore on the solar deal. And that, I understand. That's a big deal. That is a big deal. I want to show you something here. As I get people that say, wait a minute. People will be like, why do you call her Fievel? And I'm gonna, for those of you that don't totally get it, I'm gonna show you. Stand by. So, okay. Here's the cartoon mouse that was created. And then here is elected official Sue Arrington. I mean, sorry, I got confused. They're right side by side. Here is Sue Arrington. I mean, not, or here's Fievel, and then here is Sue Arrington. So that's there's where we are. But I just have a look here, and here's the deal. I'm gonna be really honest. It's not like Sue could go down there and do a whole lot. She's like one of her and 9 other Democrats are, or no, she's not in the Senate. She's a representative. So there's like her and 10 other Democrats. It's like, they can't do anything because a whole bunch of other crazy people are in charge, but she's just been listen, I've talked to some Democrats who have been like, dude, it's time for her to go. She has got to go. She's got to go. Oh. Don't you dare disparage our guy like that. Don't you dare disparage him like that. Our guy doesn't look like Sue. Yeah, I'm not a fan. She needs to go. Tweety, do you think she's going to run in? Do you think she? I keep saying 2 years. It's not 2 years anymore. She's up for an election next year. You think she's going to run again? I don't think she's going to run again. But I keep saying that, and she just keeps on a running. Just keeps right on a running. Run. I don't know. I hope she doesn't, but I don't know. But here's what blows me away. I challenge Prescott, Alexander, Roway to put on one of these events advertise it for 2 weeks and hold it at 6 o'clock in the evening and see how many people turn up. I just, because you know what they're saying. You know what they're doing is they're saying, well, these are all people that are turning up because they hate Trump and they don't like what's going on and they don't quit. All you Democrats out there, quit trying to say like, look, they're mad at what's happening because of the Republicans. What's going on at the State House, folks? The Republicans don't even know. We got Republicans fighting Republicans against Republicans, hating on Republicans, challenging Republicans, fighting Republicans. Way they don't even know, dude. They do not even know. So it's not as clear cut as that. We've got a problem at the State House. This is an incumbents. Let's get rid of all incumbents. How about we do that? Because that then takes care of Sue Arrington and all those other idiots. I'm thinking. So that was that. She had I ask. So here's the deal. I ask people what the number one thing people came to bitch about. If you've got that many people, yeah, because WIBC is the channel for Braun now. They might as well change their call sign to WBRUN because you don't have all those letters, so there wouldn't be an A. But you know. You can't spell out. It's like having a whatever. You get what I'm saying. Anyways, I'm just so sick of it all. I'm so sick of all those people, man. I'm so sick. You threw me off with Braun because they're going to have some big announcement tomorrow. And now everybody's got to tune in to find out what this big ass announcement is. And I'm so sick of all of the politics, man. All of the politics currently going on because I don't like anybody. I don't like a damn one of them. I mean, that's what's so frustrating. But I like what's going on in Washington. I'm here for that. Sign me up. Sign me up for Kash Patel being the FBI director and the ATF director. Let's abolish the ATF. Sign me up for Bongino as the number 2 for the FBI. Hell yes, I'm down for it. They're like, oh God, they're gonna put a conservative podcaster in as the number 2. They overlooked the fact that the dude was a 10-year veteran of the NYPD and then a Secret Service agent for a long time. Like, it's not like he's just somebody that doesn't know what the hell's going on. The dude's handy. The dude's handy around a gun. He'll be all right. So that's that. I've talked about Ed and Brooke. Before I get to the Madison County stuff. I'm surprised he didn't I'm surprised he didn't eat a bullet. I loved it. I watched it, Tweety Bird. I love that. I love it. I'm not a fan of Braun. I'm not a fan of Braun. Haven't been a fan of Braun. Even even if rainwater wasn't running, even if I didn't know rainwater, if rainwater didn't exist, Braun would not have been my guy. And that's cost me friendships. And I mean, not on my part, but on other people's actions. And it's like, dude, that's on you. I'm sorry about that, but that's the ignorant way to live. Okay. Last couple things I want to talk about just really quickly. A big announcement was made for the Henry County people. And this is a big deal. I was very happy to hear this. So there's been the big fight down in Knightstown. The Knightstown chief of police resigned. He was making shit tons of money. There's just lots of question. There's only 2 officers down there. 2 town board members quit. It's just total chaos going on down there. And my good friend and former sergeant on the Knightstown, former sergeant on the Henry County Sheriff's Department. He was a sergeant. He was a candidate for sheriff against Sproles, retired, became the chief of police of Middletown. He has actually been tapped to be the new chief of the Knightstown Police Department. And a lot of people are like, wait a minute, does that mean that he's leaving Middletown? No. Let's listen to just a second here of what Mr. Landon has to say.
I know I was running a couple minutes late, so talk about the future. And the position at the Knightstown Police Department as their chief came open. And I had several people ask me about it. As soon as I learned that it was going to come open, I called their Sergeant Davis. I thought he would have been a great choice for chief down there, and encouraged him to take the chief's position. And I thought it would be really nice to work with Middletown and Knightstown with John Davis in charge down there, but he made it very clear he wasn't interested in doing that. We talked about some of the problems and some of the good things and problems at the Knightstown Police Department. And that conversation turned into a pretty lengthy conversation. I started getting phone calls from other folks. And as you all know, I live in Knightstown. I've lived in Knightstown most of my life, and I'm very interested in what's going on there. The town's a good little town, and I was concerned about the Knightstown Police Department and its future. And of course, you can't believe hardly anything on social media that people post, but I saw things from, let's do away with the police department, start completely over, and just all this hoopty law about what was going on. And of course, I was concerned. My family lives there, and it's a good little town, and they deserve a good police department. And they have some great officers there that I've mentioned in the past. If you've ever heard me speak or been to any events, I'm really proud of what the police department's done down there. But so ended up that I ended up putting my name in the hat, and I came up with a solution to fix some of the problems they had, and try to get some confidence back in the town. And I've had people on Facebook say, "Oh, you're the last person to do that," but I guess I was the first person to offer to do it, and I think I can do it. As you all know, I worked at the Sheriff's Department for 27 years. What you may not know is before that, I worked at the Shirley Police Departments, where I got my start. I started as a reserve in December of 1988, became the marshal there in 1990, at the end of 1990, and worked there for several years before I went to the Sheriff's Department in 95. So I learned a little bit about small town government then. For
Lenny.
21 years, while I was at the Sheriff's Department, I was also the Knightstown Marshal, and really enjoyed that position. It was basically to slow traffic down for people going through Caddis and then the State Road 38. It's basically a highway patrol for that little section of 38. I enjoyed that. When I retired and had the opportunity to come to Middletown, I decided to give up Caddis so I could just concentrate on Middletown. And as I said earlier, I've always been a very busy person. At the same time, I worked at the Sheriff's Department. I was the Knightstown Marshal. I
All right,
also
thank
worked
you,
at
David.
Community Health in Newcastle, at least 20, 30 hours a week, just to try to make a living, raising a family, paying for a house and all the bills. It was a way I could survive and support my family and put them through school, whatever they needed. I would do that. So I'm very super accustomed to working a lot of hours. That might be one reason why I'm divorced and single today, is I really worked a lot of hours.
Oh,
and,
shit.
Was never home. But that's a whole nother story. We'll do that on a different channel, on a private channel if you want. But if you want to talk about those kind of things. But so
he's a nut.
The opportunity looked like it just may happen. All this happened in just a matter of days. And I presented.
So here's the deal. I'll speed him along here. 27-year veteran of the Henry County Sheriff's Department. He served as a reserve. He first hired in as reserve in '88, became the marshal of that town in a couple of years, got on as a sheriff's deputy. And this guy is not the first person that you would think of you saw outside just walking. You're not going to think that this dude's a cop. And he's talked about that. He's not he's not John Sproles. He's not, doesn't have a tailored uniform, whereas his muscles are built, bulging out. And, he wasn't the first person running, here or there, but he always just did what he needed to do. He wasn't the fastest or the strongest, but he overcome, and he saw things of overcoming. And literally everything on the Sheriff's Department, he's done a little bit of everything. There was a spot opened up in SWAT team, and the guys on the team were like kind of joshing him, making fun of him, being like, "Oh, you ought to try out." And he did, and they gave him a hard time, and he went through all the process, became a SWAT officer, and went from not only being a SWAT operator to being the SWAT commander of the Henry County Sheriff's Department, and led the SWAT team for a long period of time. It's very good. He's been in charge of training new officers, training reserves, training their full time. Landon has single-handedly trained a lot of law enforcement all throughout Indiana. And so Landon is one of the good guys. He is not a beat you down, violate your rights kind of guy. He is a let's talk and let's see what we can do. He's not a what you would think of when you think of a cop's cop, shades and the high and tight. He's more about wanting to talk to you and serve the issue, and not, it's not about making the arrest or punching you in the face or stealing your money or planting dope on you. He's a good guy. And so he's been the chief of the Middletown Police Department since basically 6 months after the election. He's really turned the Middletown Police Department around. He's made it a really decent organization. Middletown is in the northwestern portion of Henry County. He actually lives in Knightstown. He was a Knightstown elected board member of the Knightstown Town Council for a period of time. And so he lives in Knightstown. And so what he's going to do is, instead of working 40 plus hours as a Middletown police chief, and then when he's off going and working security places and off duty, work at the hospital or doing security at various places. He's going to cut out his security gig, and he's going to work basically 2 full-time jobs. He's going to work as the chief in Middletown, and he is going to be the chief in Knightstown. And I think it is a fantastic idea. Right now, Knightstown Police Department has went from decades of having 24-hour-a-day coverage to now only having 2 police officers. So they've got to do something quickly. He's been talking to the Knightstown Town Council. He's talked to the Middletown Town Council. And what they're going to do is he's going to take his full-time police officers, his part-time police officers, and his reserves who are very well trained, and they're going to do double duty for the first little bit in Knightstown and Middletown until they can get everything up and running. And what he's actually talking about doing, to me, is quite interesting. He's talking about cross training, and he's talking about, hello there, Wanda. He's talking about cross training and kind of cross pollinating the departments, which is something that's not done a whole lot. I'm kind of interested. The Delaware County Sheriff's Department here in Delaware County used to do this in a lot of ways with the Selma Police Department. And to kind of a certain extent, it's kind of still done, but not really in the same way. But I think what he's talking about doing down there is a good thing. I think if anybody can turn the chaos of Knightstown around, it will be Landon. I'm telling you, this is the man who should be sheriff of Henry County. And I actually posted on his post. He went live and I watched this. This was at 7 o'clock tonight. And he actually,
I am not a part-time.
I
second, he's one of the best reserves that Henry County.
Let's see here.
But anyway,
how did that go, Wanda?
We're gonna take application. My goodness, this is a switch. I listen to his show all the time.
Oh, listen to this.
Ronnie Patrick was saying too. So here, back to the list. Oh, I do have one more funny story. Is you may wonder why I'm so in tune with reserves. When I became the town marshal in Shirley, I didn't care because I wanted that job so bad. I said, okay. My goodness, this is a switch. I listened to his show all the time. I built a great big reserve program then, and that was back before pre-basics and pre-basics classes and everything else. So that got me started on the right track with hiring reserves. But let's see. So Christopher Bilbrey is listening to me. My goodness, this is a switch. I listen to his show all the time. Hello, Christopher. You make me nervous. Looked over and saw that you're watching. So learn about this law.
About around this time, I commented and said, this guy goes from being a sergeant with the Henry County Sheriff's Department, being the chief of Middletown, chief of Knightstown, and then from there, that would just put him in line to be able to where he could run for the Sheriff's Department again in either next year, or he could go ahead and just do 4 more years at Middletown and Knightstown, and then run for the open sheriff's position when Sproles is done, whatever goes on with Sproles. I think Sproles is going to have to be taken out by somebody on the Republican side, and then Dean could run for Landon Dean could run for the sheriff's office when there's an open spot, but time will tell. But this is a really good thing for the people of honestly Henry County, Knightstown, Middletown, definitely very good there. So I'm excited for Landon. Wish him the best. I hope that he's able to do this. Middletown doesn't need half of the police force that we are paying for between all the new take-home vehicles, the full-time officers. It's excessive for our little town. How many full-time officers do you guys have down there? Do you know? Well, because, well, Karen, because, I mean, as far as being sheriff, it's a constitutional office. And so you have to file in the state of Indiana, you have to file Republican or Democrat to run. So that's what's going on. So tell me what you're talking about there, Kate. Did they just release something? Did something just get released?
Pam Bondi went on Jesse Walters and
Jesse
Waters, sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
I got a notification.
Oh.
And she said they're going to start releasing those tomorrow. He asked what's been taking so long. She said it's because there's over 200 victims in this, and they are going through and they are redacting the victims' information.
Okay.
But everything else is getting released. And she said you should start seeing files tomorrow.
I don't like that being, I mean, I like that they're going to release it, but where's the Kennedy shit?
Now,
So
I
it's
don't know
going
what the
to be
Kennedy
released.
shit, but
It's going to be released ahead. Epstein shit's going to be released ahead.
of course, Christopher's only concerns the Kennedy stuff.
Yeah, I'm afraid this is going to knock us out of that. AG Pam Bondi says some Epstein files coming Thursday. It's pretty sick. Interesting.
We'll see.
Well, I guess we'll be watching for that tomorrow.
I'm just anything that they've been hiding all this time. I'm just stoked to see what.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Hell
I
yeah.
hope this is the start of a tidal wave of declassified stuff coming our way. So.
Yeah.
So sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no problem. That's great. I love it. Stumblefoot, talking about out-of-town police officers. Why am I seeing cop cars from different jurisdictions in Muncie? What cars? What cars are you talking about? Can you tell me specifically? Are you talking about Yorktown or Daleville and Eaton? I know that there's a Yorktown officer that lives over off the bypass around 12th Street. I know there's a Daleville officer that lives up by Gaddis Chrysler. I think that there's and there's a Newcastle guy. I see that I think he lives in Muncie. I've been seeing that for about the last year, and I've noticed that. I think that there's a Newcastle guy that lives on the south side of Muncie somewhere, and I see him a lot of times either coming in or going out, coming in late in the afternoon or going out early in the morning. Yeah. I've seen that. Interesting. Of course, as we've always stated, they have currently still, until we see what goes on with 1186, they have statewide jurisdiction everywhere, but we'll see what happens there. Okay, last thing that we want to talk about tonight, and I promised I'd tell Catherine, but I'm sure she's not here, is the fact that you remember a couple maybe 2 months ago when we talked about Catherine being up for some kind of like best of in the paper deal or whatever. Well, the newspaper released their findings, and bizarrely enough, the Democrats, which is really weird to say, the Democrats in Madison County swept everything. They basically swept swept everything. The current chair, who's not running for chair, Terry Austin, she filed and she won. She won Best of Madison County. Thank you. What an honor to be voted best government official. Totally insane. I'm totally surprised and honored. Thank you to everyone who put my name forward and cast their vote to grace me with this recognition. I will keep working for our community with or without an elected official title. Congratulations to all of my fellow nominees and finalists. Your good works do not go unnoticed. Just absolutely insane. Just totally crazy. And it's just nuts to me that they want that like multiple different Democrat people were involved with all of this, and for her to it just because there's so minor little group of Democrats over there. There are no Democrats. There's like two. It's like her and Tim Linnane, and somehow they won. It's just really weird what they do and how the paper is so intertwined with that Russ Willis, and that the best of Madison County goes to for a government official goes to a Democrat who is currently not an elected government official. So you figure that out. But when Catherine's on Friday, we'll talk about that. Now, I'm letting all of you know, for any of you that have been like over Catherine here lately, we will have Catherine. We'll be Catherine free tomorrow, but then we will have Catherine on Friday ahead of the Saturday meeting, and then to go over if Russ wins or not, because that's really the only big place, that and Marion County, where they're going to be a big, big win or a big loss, depending on who you are. Those two areas. So that's it, folks. This is the big 400th episode. Just another day, just another episode. We covered a lot of different stuff going on, a lot of craziness going on within all these little communities. Just it's crazy because the off year is normally kind of like a you just coast, but there's been so much going on just every single day that it's keeping us busy. Hell, March is almost already here. I cannot believe it. We're almost 3 months into the year. Totally insane. You guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Take care. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Have a wonderful Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Take care. God bless. Good evening. And hit that like on your way out. If you would, please. We would be ever so gracious if you could do that. Thank you. Take care. Good night.